so good as breakfast with Christ on the shore. Breakfast will never be better than this, than breakfast with my risen Lord. After an evening of fishing gone bad, Peter and crew felt dismay. Then seeing a man on the shore up ahead changed everything that fateful day.
Hello and welcome to our video blog, Come Have Breakfast. I'm Pastor Olson, and I'm here today with the Olsons who serve with Mergelane Media. It's great to have you with us. They're one of our missionary partners at Lake of the Woods Church. Why don't you tell us a little bit about Mergelane Media?
Well, first of all, I want to say thank you to the people at Lake of the Woods Church. You've been a part of our missionary family, but also our neighbors and friends for many years. And so we greet you as people who are a little ways off. We're down in Florida now where we're headquartering, and that our mission and our ministry has evolved. We are still doing transformational technology resources for people all over the world. But one of the things that we're doing as Mergelane Media is providing a resource to schools, churches, ministries that allow them to train their people to be more effective from their own homes. And so that's what our mission is all about. We have served with the Assemblies of God for 32 years. I am the director of Mergelane Media. And I said we've been 32 years. And before that, we pastored in Middletown, Virginia. But that's so many years ago that I'm kind of can't remember it.
Tell us some of the things you specifically do with Mergelane Media.
Well, as the director, I am responsible for fundraising. I'm responsible for awareness building of what we're all about, of what we're doing. I'm the initial driving force behind the technology solutions that we build, and we've built a lot of them over the years, and that we help other people to understand what they can do in a world that has radically changed, especially in light of the COVID virus. Our technology resources are in such a high demand that there's 24 hours a day is not enough time in the day to get it all done. But everything we do involves the use of technology to transform lives, transform cities, transform schools, transform nations, transform our world. Today, we are training currently 1,250 missionaries around the world on a daily basis. And so that those are the new missionaries being sent out to the field. They are the missionaries who have come to an end of a cycle or a term, and they're needing to be recharged to go out and do a more effective job. And so our focus is empowering those who are called and giving them something that they can ultimately take with them to their field, their ends of the earth. And it's exciting. And I never would have thought when we started doing this that it would evolve in such a way.
And normally, the Assemblies of God has a summer training period for the missionaries in Springfield, Missouri at their headquarters. But because of COVID, obviously they can't bring a group of people together. So we are currently in the process of putting all of that training that would have been done in person online before June.
We see 1,200 students as just the beginning. We have requests coming from the Philippines to launch it there. We have requests coming from Nairobi, Kenya, and Buruburu in Kenya. And we have requests coming from the Cayman Islands, all over the place. People are just saying, we need this now. We can't keep training our people if we can't meet.
So for a lot of missionaries who are finding now they have some time, as they're not able to minister, you guys have stepped it up. Your workload has increased.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Wow. So what are some of the difficulties that you face with your work with Mergelane Media?
Difficulties come, they go, they're a part of living. Challenges are the same thing, but the bottom line is we've not seen the righteous forsaken, nor their seed begging bread.
Amen.
So that's what we live every day. At one time when we were working with a media company out of Brussels, Belgium, IMM, we were asked to go to the to Sudan to train pastors and leaders in the country of Sudan on how to produce television programs. And it's exciting, at the same time challenging. And before we got there, God had already been there. He'd already visited. But we were eating a meal and had an opportunity to talk to a young lady that was there, and she talked about a dream she had and how God had touched her. She didn't know it was God. She said, this man in this white and radiant garment touched my head, and he said, my name is Jesus. And we were there having a meal, and she asked us in French because it was her mother tongue, and nobody else spoke French, so it was safe. She said, she's a good Muslim woman. She says, but this guy touched my head, and I felt it for 3 weeks afterwards. And she said, he told me his name was Jesus. And then she asked, can you tell me who this Jesus is? God is there ahead of us.
Wow.
We could list 30 or 40 different testimonies of the same genre, how Jesus was there before we got there, laying the foundation. There is no other foundation that can be made except in Christ Jesus. And so he goes before us, and we may not always like that we're stuck in because of COVID, but somewhere in the middle of all of this, there is an empowerment that God's going to bring to our lives that will allow us to become more in Christ Jesus than we were before it happened. We do have some very specific prayer requests. One of the things that's it's a crisis for us because of all the requests we have, the finances that we have been counting on, which you guys have been so faithful in, it's extinguished. Our 00 is indeed 00, which means there's whatever someone sends in a month, we get. If we don't get any, if they don't send in any, we don't get it. And right now, with the expansion of iClassrooms to reach we're 180 missionaries to 180 countries being trained, and they love it. But by the same token, we'd love to have all the resources we need to buy the equipment they're going to take with them, buy the other things that need to go on to presenting this. So that financial need, for every one of the e-bridges we produce, it's a $500. And that can put that in the hands of a young Chinese student in Baguio that's going back to China, to have them have this in their hands. And the travel that we have to do to go to Africa and to go elsewhere, those are all costs that are increasing exponentially. On a personal note, Celia is facing some physical challenges right now that she can tell you about it. I won't. Why don't you tell them, honey, what's going on?
Well, we're not really sure, but starting last fall, I started falling, having problems with balance, and with my legs just feeling like they wouldn't hold me up. And I've seen neurologists and orthopedic doctors, and some tests that are still ongoing to try to figure out what is going on, what's causing this. So right now, walking is a challenge for me, but I know God is able.
Amen.
And continue to pray for Amanda. She's got some physical issues that are not insurmountable in God's eyes, but test our faith. Mm-hmm. And the refiner's fire is hot.
I wonder if you could just talk a little bit more as you're able. I know that you have to be careful some of the things you share, but can you just talk a little bit more, just explain the eBridge, what it is and how it's being used?
eBridge is a name that we gave to a small device no bigger than, I hate to use the term, no bigger than a pack of cigarettes. I've not held them for a long time, but that's about what it is. And years ago, when we first got started with Mergelane Media, I had a vision to do something that would allow us to deliver content, ministry and evangelism content to the remote regions of the world, where people have to go to an internet cafe, log on, plug in an internet device, and be able to download evangelistic materials and then share that with their family and friends. We found a couple of different small format devices, and we repurposed them. We put a new code in them. We put a new operational system in them. We put a new interface on them. And so now that all of the, whatever we do for the missionaries in a classroom setting, we can take that small device, that eBridge, and we can hand it like I was in Kenya, in Nairobi. And Leo is the lead school administrator there. They've got 24 outreach centers. And what they're doing is they're taking the eBridges and they're putting their content on it in the format that works for the eBridge and taking it out. And instead of a missionary or a pastor having to travel to 24 different places across a very, very large country, the eBridge is sent. Everybody logs in, they go to school right there in that classroom. And then they're able to send their work through that eBridge to the school in Buruburu, and they then correct and encourage the student. And so it's a remote learning experience that does not have to be hooked up 24/7 to the internet, is not expensive, and has a multiplication factor that's exponential. And so that's one side of it. And the other side is our media center, which provides evangelism materials to anybody that wants.
Now, I know that you all also have other uses for eBridge. I know that, and only share what you feel comfortable sharing. I know you've even seen eBridge be effective in areas where there's great persecution of the believers.
Yeah, and without being too direct in mentioning where, there are limited access countries that are in the process of expelling missionaries. They're in the process of burning churches. They're in the process of doing all of the things that Satan would want them to do to destroy the foundation of the church in that country. And we've been honored to partner, to walk alongside as the extension of the Lake of the Woods Church to the leaders in those countries, to hand them a tool that we call eBridge that allows them a robust platform where they can train their future leaders, where they can empower their current leaders, and where they can cast vision to those who have no vision. And it's usable all on batteries. The battery that comes with it is a battery that will last for 24 hours without any kind of recharge, running straight and solid. So they're delighted. They feel like it's a gift. We were in Suriname, and they literally want to use the eBridge Learning Center for their schools because they can't get enough wideband access. So they're saying, well, we can do a mesh network right here in our school and train our school here in Suriname. So there are stories that that can be shared that are simple stories of God's provision. But what we have to say is that the young students that are coming to our place in Baguio are being equipped by to be able to carry an eBridge tool with them to begin home cell Bible schools in Chinese, in their own home, with their friends and their neighbors. And any more than that, and I can't say, but that's what's happening. That's what's going forward with that.
Then seeing a man on the shore up ahead